Sing my tongue the Savior's glory, of his flesh the mystery seen.
Hello and welcome to my second week of reflections on Eucharistic Amazement here at Good Shepherd. Reminder that the bishops have initiated this 3-year process of considering what the Eucharist is in the life of the church, the mystery of the Eucharist in the life of the church. And what I am committing to is to do a little video each week reflecting on various aspects of what this means for us. So theoretically, I'm doing 52 weeks of these at least, and then we'll see where that goes from there. So a year of reflections. I am starting off by reflecting on the mystery of the Eucharist in the life of the church, the document that was put out by the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. And I'm just taking some of those passages and just kind of expounding on them a little bit. That's where at least I'm starting with these reflections. That seemed like the right place to start. So here we are in paragraph number 21 of this document, and it says, "The reality that in the Eucharist, bread and wine become the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Christ without ceasing to appear as bread and wine to our five senses is one of the central mysteries of the Catholic faith." It goes on to talk about how this is properly called transubstantiation. It's a big word, transubstantiation. And what that means, as I'm sure that you know, is in the world of Aristotle and the world of Thomas Aquinas, St. Thomas Aquinas, the world was divided into, as they understand the world, and is still proper to understand today, the world is divided into substance and accidents. Substance and accidents. So a substance of the thing is what makes a thing what it is. And an accident is like the accidentals, the things that are not essential to its existence, but are various aspects of it. So for instance, if you take a chair, what makes a chair a chair? Well, what's the substance of the thing? The substance is it's something that you sit on. It probably has a back, otherwise it's a stool. It may or may not have armrests, but it has legs of some sort. So that's what the substance of a chair is. But the accidents of the chair is like this one is bluish. If it has armrests or not, so the color, what it looks like, all those things. So transubstantiation. So the idea is you take the substance of Jesus Christ. It comes in to what appears still to be bread and wine. That is changed. So the accidents remain, but the substance is changed. So even though it still looks like bread, tastes like bread, all those things, all those accidents remain. It's still white, it's still round. The essence of the thing has completely changed. The essence of the bread has been removed. It no longer has that essence, but in a very real way, the substance of Jesus Christ, body, blood, soul, and divinity, is now present in the Eucharist. So that's the idea of transubstantiation, that it has been completely changed. It's an essence, one of the central mysteries of our faith. And then it goes on saying the mysterious change is very appropriately called by the church transubstantiation. And it says, though Christ is present to us in many ways in the liturgy, including the assembly gathered, the presiding minister, and the word proclaimed, the church also clearly affirms the mode of Christ's presence under the Eucharistic species is unique. As St. Paul VI wrote, this presence is called real, not to exclude the idea that others are real too, but to indicate presence par excellence. I remember when I was in seminary, it was first that I was introduced to this idea that Christ is present in other ways as we celebrate the liturgy. When the community prays and sings in the presence of the presiding minister, the priest that is celebrating the Mass, when the Bible is proclaimed. And when I first heard this, my mind was kind of blown, because growing up Catholic, I knew about the presence of the Eucharist, that Christ was present in the Eucharist. And it's a major piece of my own Catholic faith, and my own piece of going into the seminary and remaining Catholic is my belief in the Eucharist, and it's truly the true transubstantiation of the species. But I'd never heard of Christ being present in other forms. And I think that happened with a lot of people, that they became kind of fascinated. Whoa, all these other things, and we have not given them the attention and focus that they deserve. And so we need to elevate those things. But I think what sometimes happened is that we kind of downplayed the importance of the Eucharistic species, the host and the cup, what seems to be wine. We have kind of downplayed those and elevated the others, and that's not the direction that we want to go. I have sometimes talked about whenever we get a new toy, we are really excited about it. So like in the 1980s, music had this new toy, electronic music, and all the music became very electronic. And then there was kind of a rebellion against that, and then all the music became non-electronic. And then there was kind of a balance between the two. Same thing happened with movies in the late 90s, early 2000s. People became fascinated with computer generation. Oh, look at all these things that we can do. I've mentioned that I enjoy the Star Wars movies, and something that was criticized about the prequels is that they were so fascinated with all this computer generation. But then there was a rebellion against that, and now there's kind of a nice harmony and using that in the proper place, right? So I think a similar thing happened when this kind of new tool, this new idea came to a lot of Catholics is, wow, let's really focus on liturgy of the word and the presence of Christ in the people and exchanging the sign of peace and all these things. Christ is really present when 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, and all those things were emphasized, but maybe to the detriment of emphasizing also the Eucharist. But what we should do is we should emphasize the presence of Christ in the Eucharistic species, in the host, and then what appears to be wine. We should emphasize that, which then brings everything else up. I've mentioned before, like if you take a piece of cloth and you lift up from the center, well, the whole thing is lifted up. You don't just lift one part. Everything also is raised. So we want to focus in, and that is what the bishops are calling us to do, is to have this greater amazement at God truly being present among us. And that really should inspire within us a sense of wonder and awe. When I was in seminary, I had a friend there at seminary that would use the phrase, his favorite phrase was Mysterium Tremendum, the tremendous mystery. And he liked all that music that really shook your soul and got you in the mood, and all the incense and all the bells and Mysterium Tremendum and the huge, amazing churches and everything. He loved that. But that's a great phrase, that we should be in wonder and awe that God has come to be among us. And when we come in the presence of God, we should have that wonder and awe. We are not equals with God. Although Christ has called us friends and he has come to live and dwell among us, we are not equals with God. We are so small. We are so tiny. And that is where we should be amazed that God so loves us, that even though he is tremendous and mysterious and huge and phenomenal, he comes down to be with us, and particularly in the Eucharist, comes to be with us, to enter into us in a very real way in the Eucharist. That should cause us to shake in our boots. It should be an amazing thing to consider that God is so big that he can fit into something so small, if you will, that can become in our presence. He can come into our presence through the mystery of the Eucharist. So that should inspire in us amazement and wonder and awe. So that's what I have today for my little reflections on the Eucharist today. And I will plan to release another one next week. Thanks so much. Have a great week.
Tantum ergo sacramentum. Tantum ergo sacramentum. Tantum ergo sacramentum.